It's Aloha Monday, and 40 years later, breakfast with Bob.
Pancho Man! Welcome to year number 9, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Huggo's on the Rocks. We are brought to you by HOKA One One, Polar, Chase Your Destiny, Halo Neuroscience, Velofix, Today's Plan, Normatec, Four Seasons Resort, Hualalai, Triathlete Magazine is streaming as well. We're streaming live on Facebook. Our guests, the first and third place finishers at the first ever Ironman back in 1978, Mr. Dave Orlowski, who finished third, and Mr. Gordon Haller, who was the champion. That's a round of applause from our audience. So Gordon, let's start with you. Obviously, you were checking on the internet back in 1978 and trying to figure out what I want to do next. How'd you find out about this thing back in 1978?
It was totally by accident.
Get a little closer.
I was running with a friend in the Honolulu Marathon in '77.
And what type of time did you run?
I dropped out of 6 miles, got a sciatic nerve problem.
What's your PR, though?
Well, a month before that, I ran a 2:27.
2:27.
At Marine Corps. Yeah. So I was in good shape for a marathon. And where I stopped was where a friend of mine was standing watching the race. And he told me they'd invented a race for me and kind of gave me a brief outline of it. And so I just waited till I saw an ad in the newspaper. That's the way we did things back then.
Newspapers. These people don't even remember that.
The advertiser, Star Bulletin, when there were 2 newspapers, not just one. And I thought, okay, I'll just go to the meeting with the Collins and
figure it out.
See what happens, yeah.
And at the time, you were driving a taxi.
I had been driving a taxi, but I was out of town, so I had stopped by then.
So when you drove the taxi, because you were a workout guy, you worked out all the time. So you would drive somebody on a fare and then go for a run, right? And sometimes you would run maybe 2 miles 8 times a day, something along that line?
Something like that, yeah. I'd run from my house that I was renting a room in to the taxi place, and I'd drive for a while, take a break, and drive for a while, and run home. And then later in the day, because I worked 2 12-hour shifts a week. That's all I needed to get by back then. So
love it.
It was mostly workout time. I'd run to the beach, swim, run home.
So Dave, for you, how did you find out about this first ever Ironman thing?
I was at the actual awards party where it was announced. But as I tell people, I was getting free beer, free food in Hawaii and looking at all the pretty ladies, so I didn't actually find out about it till the next day. And one of the people that had the argument with John Collins, Tom Knoll, who just recently passed away, walked in his office, and I had just run my first Honolulu Marathon, and says to me, well, kid, he says, you're going to do this race. And before I could ask what it was, he says, give me your $5.
So you got 15 starters in this race, 12 finishers. You'd have your own support crews around the island of Oahu. And so, Dave, what was your outfit? Did you have some spandex on, some Lycra?
Well, I don't even know what that stuff was back then.
No,
that's like these people not knowing about the newspaper.
Yeah.
No, I wore Speedo for the swim. You know, I was a swimmer back in the day. And then one of the dilemmas was, what was I going to wear on the bike? And my Marine group was supporting 3 people, so the night before we had a meeting, and because we all had different abilities, I decided to cut off a pair of blue jeans, put that on over my Speedo after I got done swimming, stick money in my pockets, and jump on the bike. Now, I wasn't a cyclist, so I had borrowed a bike the week before, and I borrowed a 30-pound Sears Free Spirit steel bicycle with nothing on it for water, food, or anything like that. So I was destined to have money in my pocket so I could at least have something to eat and drink.
So Speedo with salt, covered with salt, and then blue jean shorts over it. Probably not the best combination.
It wasn't, and I tell people I'll be happy to have an argument with anybody that says that they've had chafing at any race in the world.
And so, Gordon, for you, that turned out to be a battle that day between yourself and Navy SEAL John Dunbar. Right? He got about 20 minutes on you, I think, or so after the swim. And then going into the run, you were still, 8-10 minutes back, something like that?
I believe I was 12 minutes back.
12 minutes back. And what's amazing about Gordon, he can send you his workout logs from back to what year?
1969.
1969, every workout log. So he sent me his workout log leading into the 78 race. How many times did you run leading into the 78 race that last month or so?
In the last 17 days leading up to the race, I ran 187 miles.
17 days leading in 187 miles. How much cycling?
The longest ride was 12 miles. I rode 5 or 6 times.
That's plenty, yeah.
But I was a cyclist, though. So
did you swim at all?
I did swim 6 times. The longest one was 2,000. I went down to Ala Moana, swam 1,000, walked back. Did that a couple of times.
So during the race, you're behind, and you catch Dunbar a number of times during the marathon. But each time you'd have cramps or something would happen, bathroom, whatever. But when you finally caught him, I think, about mile 20 or something like that?
21.
He was a little out on his feet.
Well, my theory had been that he had a 12-minute lead on me still, and my PR was 12 minutes faster than his, so it should end up in a dead heat, and I knew I'd outsprint him.
Right.
Well, so confidence anyway.
Yeah.
So I caught him about 15, and then I had cramps, had to get a massage. Caught him at 16, had to go to the bathroom. 17, another massage. I was just stopping a whole bunch of times. Then I realized that I kept catching back up with him. If I didn't stop, I wouldn't have to do that. He'd have to catch up with me. So that's what I did. I didn't stop.
And John Dunbar's crew ran out of water. So what they did was they had something else liquid called beer in the van. So John Dunbar was drinking a little beer and weaving a little bit. And you passed him, and he wasn't coming back after that. No,
he looked pretty bad. He kind of leans over with his eyes rolling and looks white as a ghost, and didn't say anything. And I just went on.
That is great. And for you, you're out there, and somehow your parents decided to come over.
Yes.
And you had no idea.
No clue.
And when did you see them for the first time? And meanwhile, it's a big island. They're going, we'll just fly over and support him. It's not like they could call on cell phone and figure out where this guy is. They just drove around until they found you.
Yeah, they had left the airport, and they were driving down Ala Moana Boulevard towards Waikiki. And just by coincidence, the Ala Moana Tower was the start of the Honolulu Marathon. So that was the transition area. And our Marine van was somewhere along that area. And they just seen the Marine van, so they stopped and says, it's not like now you go down the road and there's, everything's blocked off, hundreds of spectators, volunteers. So they just took a chance, and it turned out to be my support vehicle. So, how would fate have it? So at mile 22, as you're coming up on the Honolulu Marathon, you make a turn, to come to go up Diamond Head. And there's a guardrail there, and we went back this year to reenact it in February, and that guardrail's still there. And, the van pulls up, and imagine a parent seeing their kid crawling along this guardrail, no different than Julie Moss, that she made famous. Well, here I was crawling along this guardrail, wondering if I was going to make it. And as I tell people, imagine being a parent, opening the door and seeing your kid practically dying there, So my mom comes out, gives me a hug and a kiss, tells me she loves me. And what's emotional for me on this is out, and we as fathers a lot of times don't show the emotion towards our kids. And my dad died 2 years later, but he came out and he said to me, gave me a hug and said that, I love you. And says, you can do this. And it was just the strength and energy that I needed to pick myself up. It's no different than today when any of you are doing the race and you're looking for that pickup from a volunteer, a loved one, a spectator or something. But it gave me that where I got back on my feet. I ran up Diamond Head, ran down Diamond Head, past 2 guys, and it's like, how the heck did I do this? I was going from
you were dead,
practically dead to to
third place.
To third place, yeah. So yeah,
I
tried to catch Gordon.
Yeah, on the podium, baby. The only guy to get podium in jean shorts in history. We like that. Gordon, winning that race that year, did that change your life?
Not right away.
Down the line.
It just made me want to work out more, but I didn't know that was possible to work out more than I was doing. Well, I added a little more swimming and biking.
Yes.
And it was a few years later when Ironman started to take off that started to get a little notoriety. Because the first year, all the results, there's a little paragraph in the back of Runner's World.
Yes.
Like, no big deal.
Then it got bigger.
Then it got way bigger.
Real magazines. And you're racing this year.
Yes, I am.
Is this number 17?
This is 16 or 17 here in Kona. And then I did the 3 in Oahu, and I did a couple others around.
Well, so you count the 3 in Oahu. Come on.
Yeah.
So this is like your 19th or something?
This will be my 24th of the full distance. 3 of them were not Ironman branded, but they were full distance.
That is so cool. And you're racing here.
Well, I'm racing 2/3 of it anyway. I'm not sure the run's going to be much, but the swim and the bike I'm hoping to do as well as I did in '78.
Wow. You want to do the same type of time you did in 78 this year, 40 years later?
Yeah, well, I wasn't very fast in swimming, so that shouldn't be too hard. I've actually been training for 19 months on the swimming, and
I love it.
I don't know if it's going to help or not, but I'm feeling more comfortable in the water.
Very cool. Ladies and gentlemen, two of the living legends of our sport, Mr. Gordon Haller, Mr. Dave Orlowski, and Mr. Poncho Man.
It's Aloha Monday, happy 40th anniversary, and breakfast with Bob.
And Poncho Man. Thank you guys.